of goldfish bowl pressure of being where one was in that time. It's very difficult to understand my behavior. But
Sean Connery had played James Bond for decades, but the final blow to his legendary career came not from the glare of fame or the allure of money. It came from disrespect. On a single movie set in 2003, Connery endured what he later described as the ultimate humiliation. The director insulted him in front of the crew, dismissing years of experience and the artistry he brought to his craft. The studio, supposedly his partner in film, ignored his concerns, leaving him powerless. But the cruelest moment came later, in the editing room, when he watched them destroy his final performance. It wasn't just a film being ruined, it was a piece of his soul. The devastation was so deep that Connery walked away from acting forever, despite still being one of the most respected actors in the world. This wasn't a story of bitterness over money or lost fame. It was about respect, or the lack of it. Connery had spent decades perfecting a character, leaving blood, sweat, and charisma on every frame. And yet, the industry he had helped define turned its back. People remember Bond, the spy, but few understand the man who played him. The boy from Edinburgh who clawed his way to the top and demanded dignity above all else. This story isn't about glitz, glamour, or blockbuster stunts. It's about a life defined by struggle, perseverance, and ultimately, the courage to walk away from everything the world told him he should cherish. Sean Connery entered the world on August 25, 1930, in Edinburgh's Royal Maternity Hospital. But life outside those walls was harsh from the very beginning. His family lived in a tiny flat at 176 Fountain Bridge, a place locals grimly nicknamed the Street of 1,000 Smells. 2 cramped rooms, shared outdoor toilets, no running hot water, and a tin tub placed precariously in front of the fire for washing. This was home. Connery's crib was the bottom drawer of a dresser, and he shared a bed in the kitchen with his younger brother Neil, who arrived 8 years after him. Poverty was the constant rhythm of daily life. His parents, Joseph and Effie, worked tirelessly, yet most of what they earned went to keep the household afloat. There were days when they survived only because neighbors and charities stepped in. For many children, this life might have felt hopeless, but Connery later reflected that he never realized how poor they were. It was simply the normal backdrop of his existence. Despite the deprivation, an inner spark was already forming. He would soon learn that life demanded both toughness and ingenuity, and no one would hand him anything. Even as a boy, Sean's awareness of the world's harsh realities began shaping the courage and resilience that would one day define the man behind Bond. By the age of 9, Sean Connery was already working, delivering milk before dawn for St. Cuthbert's Cooperative Society. While other children still slept, he pedaled through Edinburgh's frost-bitten streets, memorizing each customer's cream preferences to earn better tips. The cold was relentless, and frostbite was a regular threat, but the job taught him more than endurance. It taught responsibility. Connery learned early that every penny counted, and that even small gestures could make a difference in survival. On the streets, he faced bullies from wealthier families, jeers about his worn-out clothes and shabby shoes, lessons in fighting and self-respect that no school could teach. Years later, a taxi driver would be astonished when Connery could name every street he passed, his memory shaped by those early milk deliveries. By 13, formal schooling was over. Survival had become the curriculum of his life. He balanced jobs, chores, and the constant pressures of a household stretched to its limits. Poverty was a teacher, and Sean was a diligent student. The skills he learned on those Edinburgh streets, observation, discipline, cunning, and resilience, would form the bedrock of his future, preparing him for a life that demanded both brains and brawn in equal measure. Dropping out of school at 13, Sean Connery possessed no qualifications, certificates, or credentials, yet he refused to allow circumstance to define him. Literacy became a personal mission. He taught himself to read and write with a determination born of necessity rather than ambition, cultivating a mind as disciplined as his body would later become. Ambition, in his early years, wasn't a luxury. It was the stark need to survive from one day to the next. Despite this self-education, the lack of formal schooling stayed with him, leaving a lasting impression that he later sought to correct for others. Decades later, his estate donated millions to Dyslexia Scotland after discovering that his granddaughters struggled with reading, demonstrating the depth of his commitment to education and opportunity. Connery's life was an unrelenting lesson in self-improvement. Even as he mastered his muscles through bodybuilding and refined his craft in theater and film, he never lost sight of the simple, hard-earned truth he had learned as a boy. Knowledge, like survival, must be fought for and seized, not given. Life inside the Connery household was as tough as the streets outside. Joseph Connery, Sean's father, struggled with severe alcoholism, leaving finances stretched to the breaking point and tensions simmering constantly. Young Sean quickly learned to navigate a home where frustration and anger could explode at any moment. By the age of 10, he had taken on extra work, polishing shoes, helping at the butcher shop, to contribute wherever possible. The streets around Fountain Bridge offered no sanctuary. Fights erupted everywhere, forcing him to learn self-defense and the art of standing his ground. Yet even as he developed street toughness, Connery displayed an unexpected generosity, slipping coins to children who had nothing, balancing strength with kindness. He honed survival skills not just in fists but in heart and mind, understanding early that resilience alone was not enough. Compassion mattered too. These lessons, learned in the cold kitchens and rough streets of Edinburgh, would carry him through a life filled with danger, fame, and complex moral choices that few would ever face. By the time Sean Connery reached 14, childhood had already slipped through his fingers. Edinburgh during World War II was a city under threat, with air raid sirens, blackouts, and a constant shadow of uncertainty. Amid this backdrop, Connery experienced his first intimate encounter, not with another teenager, but with a 20-year-old ATS woman he met at a dance hall. She led him to an air raid shelter, and in that tense, surreal environment, Connery felt a heat and intensity that would stay with him for a lifetime. It was a jarring leap from boyhood to adulthood, accelerated by the dangers and instability of the world around him. Experiences like this shaped Connery's understanding of human relationships, intimacy, and trust. At an age when most boys were still dreaming of play, he had been thrust into a complex adult reality, learning lessons that were as psychological as they were physical. By 18, he had grown into a 6'2" young man, with a physique and presence that would later capture global attention. These adolescent experiences, raw and unfiltered, built not just strength in his body but resilience and an acute understanding of the world's harsher truths. At 16, Connery sought escape from the hardships of Edinburgh by joining the Royal Navy. Training at Portsmouth Naval Gunnery School, he learned discipline, endurance, and the precision required for military life. Soon, he served as an able seaman on HMS Formidable, a ship involved in missions including the return of Australian prisoners of war to Sydney. Life at sea was harsh. Long hours, cramped quarters, and the constant demands of the ship forged his resilience further. During this time, he acquired 2 tattoos that would remain with him forever. Scotland Forever, emblazoned inside a bleeding heart, and a tribute to his parents. But the Navy couldn't contain Connery for long. By 19, duodenal ulcers forced him into medical discharge, a condition that ran through his family. Even in humor, he reflected that perhaps the ulcers were more from challenging officers who relied on privilege than skill than from the rigors of service itself. Returning to Edinburgh in 1949, young, broke, and directionless, he faced the uncertainty of civilian life. But the discipline, confidence, and physical toughness he honed in the Navy would become essential tools as he navigated the next stage of his life. Back in Edinburgh, Connery bounced between a series of odd jobs, anything to survive. He delivered milk again, drove lorries, worked construction, bent steel, and took labor jobs wherever possible. One of the stranger roles was as a lifeguard at Portobello swimming baths, where his impressive build began to draw attention. That attention would later lead to him modeling for the Edinburgh College of Art, sometimes wearing little more than a black G-string, described by artist Richard DeMarco as resembling a quiet Adonis, too beautiful for words. For a brief period, he even polished coffins at a funeral home, performing work that added yet another layer to his eclectic early experiences. But amidst these jobs, a passion for bodybuilding began to take root. At 21, he fell in love with weight training, dedicating himself to daily discipline that transformed his physique. By July 1953, competing in the NABA Mr. Universe Junior class, he finished third. Muscle magazines, such as Health and Strength, celebrated him, and the modest prize money he earned allowed him to buy his first proper suit for auditions. The combination of physical mastery and growing confidence would become the springboard to a life on stage and screen. In 1951, Connery took his first step into theater, auditioning for the chorus of South Pacific in London. The show had already become a hit, but he joined humbly, earning just 12 shillings a week. When the production reached Edinburgh, he was promoted to Marine Corporal Hamilton Steeves, earning larger roles and understudy positions. By the following year, he played Lieutenant Buzz Adams, a role that demanded charm, athleticism, and stage presence. During this period, Connery met Michael Caine, sparking a lifelong friendship, and actor Robert Henderson, who introduced him to classic literature: Tolstoy, Shaw, Joyce, Shakespeare. Connery devoured these works, feeding his mind with the same intensity he applied to bodybuilding. Each performance, each understudy role, was a lesson in precision, timing, and resilience. The stage became a crucible, shaping the actor who could command attention not just with his body but with his presence, wit, and emotional depth. By the mid-1950s, theater had ignited his ambitions, preparing him for the screen, where his combination of intellect, discipline, and physicality would make him impossible to ignore. Connery's film career began in 1957 with No Road Back, a small gangster role where he infused the character Spike with his natural lisp. That same year, he appeared in Hell Drivers, playing a reckless driver whose intensity mirrored Connery's working-class roots. A breakthrough came in April 1957 when BBC producer Alvin Rea cast him in Requiem as Mountain McClintock after Jack Palance pulled out at the last moment. Connery's presence on set made an immediate impression. Whispers from women on set suggested he had something special. The live broadcast solidified him as an actor capable of carrying a story beyond background roles, yet money remained tight, forcing him to continue working odd jobs. Even then, he developed a reputation for toughness, including a legendary brawl at the Pala Dance, where he fought off 6 men from the Valdor gang, throwing them like they weighed nothing. Connery's early career was defined by a mix of raw talent, physical prowess, and street-earned grit, a combination that would soon catch the eye of those searching for a very specific spy. By 1961, Connery's combination of stage experience, striking physique, and quiet confidence had put him on Hollywood's radar. Producers Albert Broccoli and Harry Saltzman were searching for the next James Bond. Approaching bigger stars first, most said no. Connery, almost unnoticed, arrived at the casting meeting in casual clothes, carrying nothing but his presence. When he walked out, the producers were transfixed. They didn't just see a man, they saw danger, charm, and a quiet, magnetic authority. On November 3, 1961, they announced him as the new James Bond. His salary was modest at £6,000 for Dr. No, but his transformation into the iconic spy was priceless. Terence Young, the director, personally guided him in fine dining, card games, and the elegance required of 007. Filming in Jamaica began in January 1962, and Connery's world changed forever. Ursula Andress emerged from the ocean in a white bikini, and cinema history was made. Sharks, spiders, and real explosions became part of his daily life, but Connery endured, bringing humanity, grit, and charisma to every scene. Audiences were captivated, yet few realized the man beneath the tailored suits and gadgets was still the boy from Edinburgh. If you're enjoying this journey into Connery's life, don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into Hollywood legends. And here's a question for you. What would you have done if you were offered the role of James Bond at 6'2", untested and unknown? Comment below. I want to see your answers. Dr. No premiered in His Bond was different. He was suave yet grounded, dangerous but human. Connery's subtle improvisations made scenes unforgettable. When he reacted to Jill Masterson's gold-painted body in Goldfinger, his response was partly spontaneous, yet cinematic magic emerged. The physical challenges of the films were relentless. Sharks breaking through safety barriers in Thunderball, pyrotechnics singeing his eyebrows. But Connery's resilience and precision turned danger into spectacle. Despite fame and fortune, he lived modestly, a reflection of his childhood lessons. He counted cash by hand, avoided waste, and remained fiercely practical. Connery didn't just play Bond. He became Bond in a way that transcended acting, blending intelligence, charm, and physicality into an enduring icon. Success came with shadows. In 1965, a Playboy interview cast a long-lasting shadow over Connery's public image. Comments he made about hitting women shocked the world and resurfaced decades later, including in a 1987 Barbara Walters interview. Despite his clarifications that words were taken out of context, the backlash hit hard. Women's advocacy groups protested, and his reputation suffered. His private life added fuel to public scrutiny. Affairs with co-stars, tense relationships, and rumors circulated relentlessly. Yet Connery endured, focusing on work and family while navigating the pitfalls of fame. Even as controversies followed him, his performances remained magnetic, proving that art and talent could withstand gossip, though the public eye never let him forget his words. Connery's experience highlighted the fragility of reputation and the challenge of balancing a personal life under relentless media attention while staying true to oneself. After Bond, Connery proved his range was far greater than espionage and action. In 1987, he starred in The Untouchables as Jim Malone, a role that won him his only Academy Award. His calm authority, quiet grit, and commanding presence lifted the entire film. Working alongside Kevin Costner, Connery turned a supporting role into a performance remembered for decades. Lines like, "They pull a knife, you pull a gun," became iconic, repeated long after audiences left theaters. Connery's ability to convey depth, empathy, and understated power showed he could transcend typecasting, carrying heavy narratives with ease. He was no longer just Bond. He was a cinematic force capable of grounding even the most elaborate Hollywood spectacle with human emotion and experience. His career beyond Bond reflected versatility, resilience, and an instinct for choosing roles that challenged and inspired him. Connery's later career was defined by collaborations with legends. In Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, he played Henry Jones Sr., forming an unforgettable dynamic with Harrison Ford. Their father-son relationship on screen brought humor, warmth, and emotional resonance, becoming one of the film's most beloved aspects. In The Hunt for Red October, Connery embraced the challenge of playing Soviet submarine captain Marco Ramos, filming in tight, tilted sets that tested his endurance and focus. At 60, his dedication never wavered. He brought intensity, precision, and authenticity to every role. Even in action-packed films like The Rock, at age 66, he grounded chaos with calm authority, proving his enduring presence on screen. Connery's career became a masterclass in adaptability, showing that even after decades in Hollywood, one could continually evolve, challenge oneself, and leave audiences in awe. In 1962, Sean Connery married Diane Sento, whom he had met years earlier while performing in Anna Christie. At first, their union seemed a quiet anchor amid the chaos of fame. Yet life quickly proved complicated. Fame, fortune, and Connery's rising Bond persona placed immense strain on their marriage. Diane gave birth to their son Jason in 1963. Their separation came in 1971, with divorce finalized in 1973. Later, Diane would publish a memoir describing moments of physical and emotional abuse, a claim Connery denied, insisting words had been taken out of context. Their story highlights the often hidden struggles behind public glamour. A man adored worldwide yet grappling with personal failings, a family trying to find normalcy amid unprecedented attention, and the thin line between private life and public scrutiny that Connery navigated for decades. In 1975, Connery married Micheline Roquebrune, an artist he had admired from afar since meeting her at a golf tournament in Morocco 5 years earlier. Their relationship endured for 45 years, marked by companionship and loyalty, though Connery's past habits never fully disappeared. High-profile affairs, such as one with singer Lindsay DePaul in 1989, became fodder for gossip. Connery moved with discretion, leaving the affair unpublicized for years, and Lindsay later described it as flattering, brief, and ultimately meaningless. His personal life was a complex tapestry of loyalty, curiosity, and human error, reflecting both his desires and the pressures of living under the constant gaze of fame. Even with missteps, Connery's long-term marriage to Micheline showed a capacity for commitment and stability, proving that even amidst Hollywood chaos, enduring relationships were possible. Beyond acting, Connery never forgot his roots. Connery believed education multiplied opportunity, reflecting a lifelong commitment to giving others the advantages he had fought to attain. His philanthropy became a quiet but enduring legacy, proving that while he dominated screens globally, his greatest pride lay in empowering future generations. Beyond awards, box office numbers, or accolades, Connery's investment in education ensured that his impact would outlast even the most iconic performances. In 2000, Connery received his knighthood at Hollywood Palace, a symbolic acknowledgement of his global contributions to film. At 69, this honor reflected not just cinematic achievement, but his influence as a Scottish cultural ambassador. He tapped despite initial rejections in 1997 and 1998. Linked to his political support for the Scottish National Party, Connery persisted, demonstrating his independence of thought. Critics sometimes called him a tax exile due to his residence in the Bahamas and Monaco, though he had paid substantial taxes, totaling £3.7 million between 1997 and 2003. Connery's honors, including BAFTA Fellowship in 1990. Connery's health began declining after kidney tumor surgery in 2003, and by 2010, signs of dementia became noticeable. Tasks that once required no thought grew challenging. Memorizing lines and remembering names became difficult. Offers such as Gandalf in 2001 and a return to Indiana Jones in 2007 went unaccepted, reflecting not only health concerns but a desire to preserve dignity and agency. He retreated from public life after a final appearance at the Edinburgh International Film Festival in 2012, spending his remaining years quietly at home in the Bahamas with his wife, Micheline. Dementia gradually eroded his memory and independence, but he passed away peacefully on October 31, 2020, at the age of 90, exactly as he wished. A life that once dominated screens worldwide ended quietly, a testament to a man who lived with intensity, discipline, and a relentless pursuit of personal and professional integrity. Even after decades of success, Connery's relationship with Hollywood remained complicated. By the early 2000s, he had grown increasingly frustrated with the industry's politics, greed, and superficiality. Projects that could have been exciting were often mishandled, directors clashed, and studios prioritized profit over artistry. On the set of The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen in 2003, an argument over a prop elephant gun escalated so severely that Connery nearly walked away entirely. Watching the editing room ruin scenes he had performed with care pushed him to his breaking point. Fox refused to delay the release, and the movie's low critical reception was 17% on Rotten Tomatoes, highlighted the disconnect between Connery's dedication and Hollywood's priorities. Despite earning $17 million for the film, he realized the system was broken. This moment became symbolic of his decision to step back, showing that for Connery, respect and artistry mattered more than money or recognition. In 2000, retirement allowed him to reflect on a life that had been extraordinary, yet filled with complexities few understood. He spoke openly about the shallow relationships, people drawn to his image rather than the man, and the pressures of fame. Yet, he also reflected fondly on the films, friends, and experiences that defined him. The quiet of retirement contrasted sharply with the intensity of his career, giving Connery the solitude to live on his own terms. Even in stepping away, he remained a figure of immense influence, showing that leaving at the right time can preserve dignity, legacy, and memory. Connery's last public appearance came in June 2012 at the Edinburgh International Film Festival. Frail, walking slowly, and speaking softly, he thanked the audience, offering a quiet farewell. There were no grand speeches or elaborate ceremonies, just the simplicity he had long craved. The public witnessed a man who had commanded screens worldwide, now stepping off quietly, leaving behind an immense body of work and a legacy of dedication, skill, and humanity. For the next 8 years, Connery lived almost entirely out of the public eye, seen only by family. The world that had once cheered for every Bond film, every Academy Award-nominated performance, faded into quiet memories. His last years were private, calm, and reflective, a contrast to the constant danger, intensity, and drama that had defined his professional life. Even as his health declined, Connery's impact persisted through philanthropy. The Sean Connery Foundation, created after his death, distributed millions to education and filmmaking causes in Scotland, reflecting his lifelong commitment to helping young people access opportunities he had been denied. Connery believed education could multiply chances, empower creativity, and provide paths away from hardship. His efforts went beyond monetary donations. They symbolized a man who never forgot where he came from, bridging the gap between Hollywood glamour and his working-class roots in Edinburgh. Connery's philanthropic legacy shows that his influence extended far beyond cinema, touching lives, nurturing talent, and fostering hope for generations who might never step foot on a red carpet but could still follow in his footsteps. Sean Connery passed away on October 31, 2020, at 90 years old, quietly in his sleep. His life had spanned worlds, from the harsh streets of Edinburgh to the glitz of Hollywood, from James Bond to Academy Award-winning roles. He overcame poverty, bullying, personal controversy, and health struggles while leaving an indelible mark on cinema. His career demonstrated resilience, versatility, and courage, and his philanthropic work ensured that his legacy would continue long after the cameras stopped rolling. Connery's story is a testament to the power of determination, self-belief, and staying true to oneself despite public scrutiny. While his final years were quiet, the impact of his work on film, education, and audiences worldwide remains vivid, inspiring admiration and respect. Sean Connery's life proves that greatness can be both public and deeply personal, leaving behind lessons for artists, fans, and dreamers alike.